What's up, everybody? It's Jarvis from Strong Dragon Training here again, and I want to talk to you today about a specific exercise, a very common exercise, and an exercise that we've all been doing ever since we first learned how to walk as babies, and that is the squat. The squat is the most natural and most easy thing for the human body to do. As I said, we do that from the very first day we try to get up off the floor. You guys all know how babies start pretty much crawling and then they try to get up off the floor, and how easy it is really when the babies get strength in the legs to start essentially squatting up. If you've watched young kids, babies, and see how deep they go into the squat, they didn't know. If you guys know the expression ass to grass, that's what babies do all the time. They just crouch down in a squat and then they come right back up. Now over time, as we get older, as our joints get more stiff, the muscle gets more stronger as we grow up with age, and the ligaments, tendons, all those things, they get more firm, stronger. We tend to lose that ability to go so deep. Now, it's not something that you must lose. It's something that it just happens with time. You have no control over it. You can save that by A, practicing correct squats, and B, stretching. Now, I have given you guys a stretch video, so that's a good place to start with the stretches for these things. But the squats, again, as you get older, there is correct ways and incorrect ways of doing the squats, and most people butcher the squats the worst way they can. It's such a simple exercise. So I want to go on today and really dissect the whole idea of a squat and what books tell you, what you see other people doing in a gym, and what you should be doing really from a physiological point of view, and how your knee should go and things like that. So first and foremost, squats can be done either with a barbell. It can be on your back. Those are the regular squats, so to say. The barbell can be at the front, front squats where you hold the barbell nice and high. That one still works your legs, but it engages the core muscles a little bit more than the regular squats. And also, of course, there's dumbbell squats, and then there's different machine like Smith machine squats and all that. So the very first exercise I want us to take a look at first is the regular back squat with a bar on your back. Let's see first how it looks.
So this is the first squat variation, the bar on the back. First 3 to 4 repetitions, I do thighs parallel to the floor concept, and then I take the concept of ass to grass. So I take the squat as deep as possible. Please be careful of the core to be tight, your chest to be forward, and always keep your back straight.
Alright, so you get the idea of what I'm talking about now. In that video, I purposely done 2 kinds of squats, right? One where my thighs went parallel to the floor, and the second one when I went with the whole idea of ass to grass. Now, depending on your fitness level, depending on how flexible you are and what you're trying to achieve out of the squats, I always recommend to do both kinds. One where you stop at thighs parallel to the floor, and second one where you do go ass to grass, as deep as possible. So you can see by feet. So from the bottom up, working our way from the feet up. For these ones, I only have shoulder width apart open from the feet. Probably maybe an inch or so more, but ideally shoulder width apart is what you're looking for. My toes are just a little bit pointed out. Now this is a little bit of a pet peeve for me, because if you take a look at people and what their kneecaps, how they're angled, right? It's something that you can change. So how the kneecap is situated on your legs, on your knee, it's all based on how your body's built. So you can't really change that. You can correct that. It's not a fault, right? You don't need to have your kneecap pointing straight forward. For me, my kneecaps are just a little bit outward. So again, based on muscle tightness, based on muscle development, ligaments, tendons, all that different stuff work together to kind of push the knee and pull the knee to the one side, and you have that kneecap going a little bit outwards to the side, or in some cases a little bit more in, whatever. For me, what I always try to do is, what I find personally is, if I try to keep my toes fully pointed forward doing a squat, I find a little bit of a knee discomfort. And I've discovered that over the years of personal training. So I discovered that in many clients, that the whole idea that if I'm forcing those toes to be forward and my knee is pointed out a little bit, doesn't matter how much I activate the hip or how much I try to internally rotate from the hip, I still get that little bit of discomfort. So what I've discovered is that if your toes ever so slightly go out so that your big toe almost matches the kneecap, so you can draw a straight line from the kneecap to your big toe, it's a little bit more comfortable. Now, going down the line of squats the feet together, squats the feet apart, or sumo squats and all those things like that, that's a whole another different story. That's a whole different video that I'm going to do later down the line. But for now, when you're doing squats, especially if you are a beginner at these things, try to position your toes so that you can draw a nice straight line from your kneecap to the tip of your big toe. All right, so that's the starting point. You pick up the bar, you engage, feet shoulder width apart, your legs shoulder width apart. Feet are essentially with the toe pointed where the kneecap is. And from this point, you need to engage the core, right? The core. I'll always talk to you guys about the core. Your abs need to be engaged. When you do that, your lower back automatically tightens up as well, and you're good to go for the squat and pretty much do any kind of movement. The more weights you put on the squats, the more tempted for your body would be to go forward because you have all that weight in your back. Get used to it from the beginning when you do nice and lightweight and just work on posture and form to engage the core and keep that body straight. Notice in my video that every time I am going down into the squat, I try to keep my chest forward. I try to keep my body as high and pointing forward as possible, looking at myself in the mirror, seeing my chest the entire time. I never try to crouch down and let my body go super deep that I'm staring at the floor. At that point, sure, you can get away with it now when it's just a bar like it was in that video, but when you have 2 or 3 plates on each side, doing that will get you to tip over and do a nice front flip over the rack, which is dangerous for your back and for your entire body. Get used to the whole idea now of getting that little bit of arch in your lower back, core nice and tight, chest forward, and you're going down deep, okay? The arch in the back also, you don't want to overly pull yourself back to the point where you're feeling pinching in the lower back or muscle spasming in the lower back. So if you find that that's the case, you need to get on those stretches. You need to go to a massage therapist or to just stretch yourself, go to yoga classes, but release that lower back and those hip flexors. Obviously, you will not be able to do a proper heavy squat if that is your goal, if your lower back slash hips slash glutes are super tight. So back to the squat. You saw me going all the way, thighs parallel to the floor. When you're doing this one, your quads, hamstrings, and everything surrounding those muscles are going to engage fully and get essentially a contraction, a full strong level contraction before you come back up and you give them a rest, so to say. Even at the top, your legs obviously are engaged and contracted, but it's that parallel to the floor thigh type idea that really gets those quads, those hamstrings really fully engaged. So you go down parallel to the floor. Generally, it's fairly hard to see, so if you're a beginner at this one, have a friend or somebody, a personal trainer, sit next to you and kind of judge and see, are you going? Because it's very easy to think you're going parallel to the floor, but you're not really, based on tightness, based on how hard it is for you to do the squats. All those things have to be taken into account. So go parallel to the floor first. When you're coming back at the top, you never lock the knees. If you've seen any of my old videos, the idea of locking a joint off is just unheard of for me. So I do not want you guys to lock that knee out, okay? So come on up to the top, engage the hips, tilt the pelvis a little bit forward so you really get those glutes engaged and get the most development out of your hip flexors and your glutes. So you're at the top, squeeze them for that split second, and then go back down, unlock and go into the squat again. Come on up, squeeze, hips tilt a little bit forward, then go back down. When you do the ass to grass idea, and again, you should be practicing both. Even if you are in the beginning, keep just the bar, don't put any weight on it, but get used to the idea of balancing out the bar. And when you're down there, you don't crouch and fall backwards with the bar. Try to get that control into your core. The stronger the core gets, the stronger the hip flexors get, the more control you're gonna have when there's weight in your back at that point. So going down deep into the ass to grass idea, if you find that, when you crouch down into a ball, so when you squat down, you crouch yourself down into a ball, you have that curve happening in your lower back. You do not want to achieve that with the squats, okay? That is the whole idea, that when you put even ever so slightly weight on your back, one way or another, you are going to roll backwards or you're going to roll forwards. You're going to lose control of the whole situation. So you want to go as deep as your flexibility allows to get that butt as close to the ground as possible. Get that full stretch out of the quads and hamstrings, because that's the whole idea. You're trying to get the muscle to get involved, engaged, stretch and contracted, top to bottom, maximum. That's the whole idea of ass to grass, right? Otherwise, we'll just be going parallel to the floor and you're good to go. But when you go to so deep, you get that stretch out of those hip flexors, the quads, the hamstrings, the glutes. Everything gets fully stretched out, and then you force them to engage, to lift your body weight and whatever weight you have on your back, to lift it up to a standing position. So obviously it's going to be much, much harder. So don't expect that if you're progressing with regular thighs parallel to the floor, let's say you've progressed to 45 pounds on each side of the bar, don't expect necessarily that once you've got 10 of those, you'll be able to get 10 of the ass to grass. So practice on that. Really listen to your body, because the deep squats can be fairly dangerous. So do be very careful about that. But you go down nice and deep. You feel that stretch. You get everything in your quads and your thighs fully stretched out. And then you come on up to the top. Everything else stays the same. The foot posture, the toes relative to the kneecap that I've mentioned before. When you're at the top, that pelvis tilting forward, everything stays exactly the same as when you do the regular squats, only, or the thighs parallel to the floor, because there's no really regular or non-regular whatever squats. But it's everything else the same idea. Your core especially, maintain it contracted, flexed, and really focus on what you're doing. So you're going down, breathing in, breathing out as you're coming up. So imagine that you have to breathe so that you almost get yourself propelled up out of the squat. So your breathing out is what pushes you up and out of that squat, okay? So really focus on that so you can synchronize your breathing. Breathing is very important. You hold your breath when you go down with 2 or 3 plates on the side, and you're gonna pop like a balloon, okay? You're gonna turn purple, green, red, and then poof, you go, okay? So be very careful. Breathing is key, critical to the squats. On a more serious term, you can actually put so much pressure on any of the veins and the capillaries within and around your brain or within your body that you're going to pop something and you will be having some very serious issues. So do be careful. The more weight you put, the more you need to allow the air to come in and out. All right, so that is the whole idea of a traditional regular back squat. Now let's take a look at the front squat and see how we do that one.
This is the front squat version. The bar is right on top of your chest. The 2 variations that I do is, again, thighs parallel to the floor and ass to grass, but I also do 2 different grips for the bar. Very first one is the Olympic style grip. As you can see right now, my fingers are just holding onto the bar and my arms are twisted upwards. And then my favorite and the most comfortable type of position is the one that I do right now, where the bar is lying on my shoulders on the anterior deltoid. Please make sure your elbows stay up, core tight, and chest always forward.
Alright, so those were the front squats. Now, if it's your first time doing them, they might seem a little bit scary, a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit harder. Well, what I can tell you straight off the bat is that the weight that you will be able to progress towards with regular back squats is gonna take almost double the time to progress through the front squats. So they will be a little bit more difficult, but again, work on them progressively and be very careful on the posture, right? First and foremost, always learn the posture of them. So getting into the whole idea, I've done essentially 2 different depths, just like I've done before with the other back squats, and I've done 2 different grips if you saw on that one. So when you go for a more Olympic approach, where in the Olympic weightlifting they have the arms right back, so you saw the bar kind of leaning on my fingers and then balancing on the chest. So that's one version of it. What I personally find is that the heavier I go with the weight on front squats, that kind of grip puts a lot of tension on my forearms. So I prefer to do the second grip that you guys saw, where the bar was over my shoulders. So be very careful on that one too, because what you're looking for is to have the bar right over the deltoids, the front deltoid, the anterior deltoid, essentially the meat of your shoulders. So you want to put that bar so it's not really right on the joint and cause any kind of joint dislocation when you go heavy, but you also don't want to put it too far forward that the bar will slip off your hand or slip out of your grip. So do remember that the more you do these repetitions, and you do maybe 10, 12, 15, the higher you go in reps, the harder it's going to be to keep the core tight and to keep control of that bar. So the last thing you want is having the bar losing control on you and then dropping it forward, right? Now, do remember that if you get into any kind of, sorry about that, guys, just a little bit of a technical difficulty there. If you do end up having any kind of, you lose control of the bar, or, bad position, you can't push anymore, just drop it forward, okay? So let the bar fall forward. One safety type of tip is on the back squats. If you really find yourself in an emergency situation, just tip it back and let it go. Don't try to really save. There have been cases when guys have tried to save the heavy lifting and they ended up with the bar full weight on one shoulder. That's not a good massage that you're looking for. And when it comes to front squats, again, there may be some cases where you lose balance and control and you tip back with it. It's a very, very bad position to be in, especially if your weights are not big enough. Like if you've been in a gym and you saw the 45-pound plates versus the 25-pound plates, you have more clearance between bar and neck. Let's just put it that way. If you fall back with the 45, if you fall back with 25, you're in danger. Moral of the story is, try not to fall when doing squats, forward or back. But if you do have to fall backwards, make sure you have some significant weight so that you may save your neck, okay? But jokes aside, do be very careful of the control. And if you find that you're losing control, it's better to muster up the strength to throw the bar forward than it is to fall back with it, okay? You will crush that neck and it will not feel good. Anyways, back to the posture. Stance-wise, again, it varies based on what muscle you're trying to hit, just like with the back squat. So what I've done there is I've done just shoulder width apart. Again, my toes are pointing forward, so big toe towards the kneecap, and I was going nice and deep out of them. What you obviously you can vary it with feet together, feet wider apart, whatever, again, those are for different videos down the road. But for this one specifically, it's just the same opening for your legs as it was for the back squat. Now I go deep. When I go down, one thing about front squats that is different than with the back squats is you will need a tiny bit more lift of your chest than you do with the back squat. Why? Because of the bar that is hanging forward, right, pulling you forward. So it's hanging in front of your body, it's pulling you forward. Again, the more weight you have, the more that bar is going to pull. So you need to counter that weight. When you go down on these squats, it's critical that you find your balance. So you gotta push the butt just far back enough to get the squat idea out of it. So get your quads, get your hamstrings, get your glutes involved. But you also have to lean just far enough forward and just far enough back so you can keep the pressure right on the right vertical on your hip flexor so that you don't tip forward. One of the things that is when Arnold used to do squats, he would always say that because his legs were longer, so he was fairly tall, Arnold I think was like 6'2" or somewhere around there, but it was more difficult for him to do front squats than it was, or rather back squats than it was to do front squats, because on the back squats, dude was high, he wasn't really feeling the quads engage as much as he should have. So he would prefer front squats because he could really alter the how far he lean forward, how far he lean back, and really get that quad idea out of the squat. And that's what you should be looking for too when you're going down on these squats. You want to feel the hamstrings and glutes stretch, but you also want to feel the quads, right? Right at the hip flexors, right at the top, you want to feel those quads and trying to burst out of your skin, okay? So look for that kind of feel. And again, if you're in the beginning stages, ask for a little bit of guidance, ask for a little bit of help, and look for that feel, that burn in the quads. You're not looking to feel a pinch in the hip or a pinch in the lower back, right? Any kind of pain, or even in the muscle, if there's pain in the muscle, not burning pain, but a pain, uncomfortable pain, stabbing pain, you're doing something wrong. Stop right away. Front squats, back squats, middle squats, doesn't matter what you do. Any kind of stabbing pain, or like feel like the muscle, the tendon is ripping off your bones, that kind of pain is bad. Stop and reevaluate what you're doing. Ask for some support. Even leave me comments on this video telling me, you know what, this is what I felt when I went down that kind of squat. What do you think it may be? Chances are you probably have either a tightness or an imbalance in your body that's causing that, or maybe you're leaning a little bit too far in either directions and it's causing that kind of discomfort. Anyways, back to the front squats idea. The other difference too between the back squats and the front squats is your core will get engaged so much more than it is the back squats, because the fact that you are having the weight and it's pulling you forward, right? The weight on your back is much easier to control back and forth, so from tipping back and forth, balance-wise and everything, when you have the weight on your front. And especially the fact that you also notice that my elbows are nice and high, trying to keep that bar within place so it doesn't roll forward. That kind of a lift, the more repetitions you do, the more that lift will go down. So you gotta mentally think, I need to keep my elbows up. It's almost like you're trying to make that cupping effect out of your arms and shoulders, so that the bar kind of sits there safely, okay? If you find that your arms are just going down, or your elbows rather are going down, and there's no saving them, stop the exercise, take a rest, whatever number you're at, just stop. Because once that bar is, and once the bar goes too far forward and you're really literally just holding it down with your arms at your chest, you're defeating the whole purpose of the exercise, right? So you may be still going up and down with the squat, but that is some lower back torture that you're doing to yourself there. That is no point. So stop it, take a break, let your shoulders breathe, let your arms breathe, and redo it again afterwards with the next set. So be very careful on the front squats. Now, movement wise, again, like I said before, legs are shoulder width apart, feet just a little bit tilted out so that I have that big toe pointing right, a nice straight line with the kneecap. And then as you see, as I'm going down, one version I'm doing is I'm going just parallel to the floor, thighs parallel to the floor. So I'm going down there and then I'm coming back up. Again, no knees lock. Yes, my knees do go straight, but I don't lock them out. So it's probably kind of hard to see in the video, but my knees do not lock out. The legs straighten up, but they don't lock out. And at the top, again, I do that little bit of a hip tilt forward, get that glute engaged, really tighten up, and then I disengage and come right back down to the thighs parallel to the floor, the somewhat stretch over there, and then come back up. Second version is I go ass to grass, or down nice and deep. So I go super deep with the bar. Again, remember that ball effect. You're not trying to curl yourself, so if there's a little bit of rolling happening in your coccyx, in the very bottom part of your spine, you have a tightness. You need to work with that tightness first and try to stretch the area out, either from a massage therapist, physio, chiro, wherever you guys go. Just work that tightness out, because the more you get, because you will get stronger. When your bar is light, you will be able to control it fairly easily, but when there's more weight on that, you're gonna have a hard time controlling it, and you're gonna cause some more imbalances in your body. So make sure you stretch and get that imbalance fixed before you start going heavy on weight with ass to grass type of front squats, okay? Again, core nice and straight, chest looking at the mirror, always looking for what you're doing. Have somebody by your side, especially at the beginning, until you get used to the feel. What is it supposed to feel like when I'm going so deep into the squats? What is it supposed to feel like when I'm going parallel to the floor? Things like that. You need to get yourself used to the idea of what your body feels when you're doing all these movements. All right, so chest forward, vision forward, or just slightly up, so you can, you know how it is when you're driving, you kind of have to look where you're going. Well, which is not what I'm doing right now, so I'm doing these videos, but look up so that you get that extra little bit of incentive, so to say, to push yourself to go up and up straight, right? Not up forward, not tilting to the side, right? You're focusing on your exercise. You're looking up, chest forward. Keep everything focused and concentrate during that motion. Breathing wise is just to say, breathing in coming down, breathing out coming up. That's all that it takes to a core is engaged. And remember, breathing is from your lungs. Forget about that whole breathe in, expand your stomach, and then push it right through the diaphragm. Engage your diaphragm, engage your lungs, get all that breathing air into the lungs, but keep that core tight. Don't let the stomach distend, right? The abs should not be distending when you're doing these kinds of breathing, especially during an exercise like this. Now, another thing to be very watchful about is if you're doing something wrong, and this is something you gotta let your spotter or whomever is watching you and trying to correct you know, is I've had these kind of cases in the past, correcting somebody's exercise while they're doing the exercise, okay? Especially squats, a very dangerous exercise. If you have a lot of weight on your back and your spotter decides, oh my goodness, watch out, you have to put your knee forward more or put your knee out more or whatever, don't do that, okay? You do one rep, probably it's incorrect, tell your spotter to stop you after you do the rep. Don't do it while you're in the middle of the repetition and maybe push your leg forward, push your leg out to correct it while you're doing it, because you will lose control and your muscles are at a very unpredictable point at that moment. You're going nice and deep and your muscles don't need that push the knee forward, push the knee out, any kind of dancing at the knees or adjusting the hips or adjusting the lower back. If he or she sees that you're doing something incorrectly, they should be stopping you after that one rep and say, okay, you know what, let's stop right now. This and this and this is what I saw you doing wrong. Let's fix that. Be aware of that on your next rep, but don't let them correct you during the exercise. I've had that case before and it ended up being with a very bad injury for the other person that was corrected. During the squat, they had a very bad injury. It took a long time to get that injury healed and fixed and everything. So do be very careful. Please do not correct an exercise while it's happening. Finish the rep and then stop, or have the person ask you to stop after you finish the repetition and then, hey, you know what, this and this and this, what was happening, let's work on that. Be aware of that on the next repetition, okay? And one more type of squats that I want to show you guys is the dumbbell squat. So let's first take a look at what they look like and what you guys should be envisioning while I'm talking about them. Check them out.
So the dumbbell squats, a variation of the bar squats for people who are not able or uncomfortable of doing the bar ones. Same idea, thighs parallel to the floor and then ass to grass. Just make sure your dumbbells never touch the floor when you do ass to grass.
All right, so the dumbbell squats. Pretty much what you're mimicking is more towards the back squat than towards the front squat, okay? So it's almost the same procedure body setup wise as you have for the back squats, but the reason why this is an alternative is some people are uncomfortable putting the bar on your back. And the one thing that I did forget to mention when we're talking about the back squat, I'm going to go on a tangent here for a little bit, is positioning the bar on your back. You want to be very careful when you feel the back of your neck. I'm sure everybody has felt this one. You will feel a bone there, right? That's part of your spine. That is one place you do not want the bar to rest. Even though that bone is conveniently sticking out a little bit, that doesn't mean that it's a support for your super heavy bar in your squats, okay? Put it a little bit lower, make it go below that bone. Again, you know how I said the front squats, you have to have the bar on the meat of your anterior shoulder, the anterior deltoid, where this one go more towards the posterior meaty part of your back. So it goes a little bit lower on your traps, right? So when you have your shoulders pulled back, like you saw me in the video, the bar needs to comfortably stay on the muscles. The back is engaged. You're holding the bar up with the muscle, now with your spine. You put it on that one little bone that you feel on your spine over there. That's one of your vertebrae. You can risk injuring that area. You can even risk paralyzing yourself from the neck down. So depending on how much weight you have there, you can cause some serious damage, so please be aware of that. Do not let the bar hang on that bone. Anyways, back to the dumbbell squats. This is why I went off at tangents, because some people just don't feel comfortable having that bar on their back, right? They're either not flexible enough to be able to hold on to the bar, or they can't get the move out of it. They're not flexible enough. The imbalances don't allow them to do it, and it just doesn't work for them, okay? So the dumbbells is an alternative. It's actually a little bit, from a dumbbells point of view, you won't be able to go as heavy as you would with the regular back squat, because you are holding a lot of weight with your grip. So there's only so much your grip can handle. When you put a bar on your back, it's a little bit more, it allows you to handle a little bit more weight than the dumbbell counterparts would. Anyways, dumbbells are by your side, as you saw over there. My position, feet-wise, is exactly the same. Shoulder width apart, maybe 1 or 2 inches wider. Toes pointed so that your toe is in line with your knee. Be careful on this one, and be careful on all the possible squats that you're doing, especially the front one, is when you go down, and as you can see in this video, the knees don't go too far over your toes. Now, if you go on any kind of exercise book or whatnot, they say keep your knees to be behind the toes. So when you go down, your knees should not go over your toes. From what I've seen from experience is some people are not able to do that physiologically. However, that doesn't mean that you let your knees go super far over your toe to the point where you're doing more of a ballet move than an actual squat. So a little bit of tipping over the other toe with the knee is fine, but a little bit, key word there is a little bit of knee over toe. You still want to imagine that you're essentially sitting on a chair, right? So you're pushing your butt far back enough to mimic that sitting on a chair effect. So you go nice and deep on these squats. Again, the 2 versions that I've done is with thighs parallel to the floor, ass to grass. Be a little bit more careful about these ones with ass to grass. Depending on how long your limbs are, you may end up touching the floor with the dumbbells. So kind of adjust with that. Not a good idea to shrug the dumbbells up when you're going down and create 2 exercises out of 1. And also not a good idea to push the dumbbells further back or further forward, because if they go from the side of your body, the dumbbells move back or forward from the side of your body, then you're defeating the purpose of the actual squat. So you're either turning into a deadlift, you're turning into a hack squat. Long and short of it is you're turning into something that you're not working at that moment, and you know what, forget about it then. Do a different exercise. So yeah, very simple from a point of view of dumbbell squats. Again, quick review: feet shoulder width apart, or 1 or 2 inches a little bit wider. We're not going into the feet together, feet wide apart in this video. The knees have to be pointed out. The toes with the knees have to be a one straight line. Don't let the knees go too far over your toes. Keep them right above them, so keep them right behind the toe rather, or just a little bit over is still allowed. You're still not doing much damage, but again, too far forward, you're turning into a ballet move, and you're putting way too much tension on the actual tendon over the knee, the patellar tendon. The descend into the squat, same as all the other ones. Go either parallel to the floor, so thighs parallel to the floor. Coming back up from that, you engage the hips, tilt slightly forward, just like in all the other ones. But when you go deep, the ass to grass version, just make sure that your dumbbells don't touch the floor. Again, you defeat the purpose of the whole idea if you're going down all the way to the bottom and your dumbbells are on the floor, right? You want to get that time under tension when you're down there with the dumbbells still in your hands, not touching the floor, full stretch on the muscle, and then you re-engage the muscle, come back up. There is a style of exercise where you essentially, when you do a repetition, you put the dumbbell down, let that split second rest, and then pick it up again, but you're not looking for that right now, okay? I'll cover that in a different video. You'll add that later down the road, but for now, just focus on making sure that range of motion is nice and full. You engage that core. Even though you have dumbbells, the core is engaged. And as I said previously, when I explained the difference between the dumbbell squat and the regular barbell squat, try not to grab so much weight on these dumbbells that they're slipping out of your hands, okay? Again, if you can do them with your legs, but your arms are giving in, so your hands are not able to grip on the actual dumbbells, then again, try and see if there's any way you can work with a professional to get the regular bar squats going to get more effect out of them, right? I will tell you right off the bat, your grip will always be weaker than your legs, right? Your legs are powerhouses regardless of what fitness level you are. You will always have the quads, the hamstrings much stronger than your flexor and extensors on your arms. So that is a giver. But again, if you're not looking for too much weight, if you're just looking to get through the squats, get the exercise idea, get the high repetition, even get so far as the cardio effect out of it, then grab a set of 10 pounders, 15 pounders, whatever, and then make sure you keep the squat nice and clean. All right, so those are really the three basic variation of the squats, how you can do them. Again, I did not cover feet together, feet wide apart, straddle squats, all those different things. We're not worried about that right now. What I want you guys to get is the idea of how to do the squat properly. Okay, it's a powerhouse of an exercise. You can get very injured if you do one mistake on it, or as I said earlier in the video, if you get corrected during the exercise, again, you can have a big problem injuring your body, healing after that, so you'll be off for quite some time. So do be careful, please. Watch these videos, try them out for yourselves. Again, I've just done, weights haven't been heavy from what I've done. I've just used the bars and very lightweight on the dumbbell squats. Try the same idea if you're doing it for the first time. Even try a regular body weight squat. Okay, so imagine that you have a chair behind you, or even put a bench behind you or a chair, something like that, and then sit down. Get the feel of what it's like to go through the motion of a squat, right? You get that idea. If you're fine with that, go through a body weight squat. No weights, no dumbbell, no bar, no nothing. Just get through the movement. Make sure your knees are not going too far over your toes. Make sure your hips are not hurting, or your knees are not hurting, or your ankles hurting when you actually do the squat itself. And then progress to a bar. The bars are generally 45 pounds. The Olympic either bench press bars or squat bars at your average gym, they're usually 45 pounds. So they're not too overly heavy, but give them a shot. Start adding weight gently, depending on what your goals are. See how much you add to it. You don't want to go too crazy unless you are actually looking to build some meat on those legs and build some muscle, things like that. Then go based on your program. And let me know too in the comments below how you like the squats, if you do them, if you haven't done them, if you just started them, or you're doing it and you're finding problems, or you find that you consistently, what I found in the past from clients is they do them and they consistently get injured. They consistently have aches and pains that should not be there as part of a squats, right? Not your regular muscle soreness or your muscle pain, or like a good type of pain. It's a bad type of pain. So if you've done the squats for a while and you keep on feeling this pain reoccurring, shoot me a message in the comments below. Let me know. I'll be more than happy to kind of dissect and get into a nice discussion with you guys and see what's happening, what are you doing wrong, how you doing it. Maybe we can shoot videos back and forth and really help you guys get the idea of doing a squat safely. It's a beautiful exercise, a powerful exercise, and it's the exercise that the body's most used to, unless you haven't done it since you were 1 or 2 years old. Then that's a whole different story. But generally your body should be able to do squats no problem, unless you have injuries, tightness, imbalances, things like that. You should have no problem with the squats. All right, so I really hope this video helped you guys. If you like it, give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe. I'll be putting out more videos like this. And again, shoot me messages, let me know ideas. If you have exercises that you're not sure about how to do, or you want to try doing but you're uncertain about, I'll be more than happy to make videos specifically for those exercises and to target it directly at somebody and whatnot. All right, have an amazing day, guys. Stay fit, have fun, and I'll see you on my next video. Ciao.
Thank you for watching our video. If you like it, subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos to come, and also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for more motivation and lessons. Also, subscribe to our website, www.thestrongdragon.com, for the free weekly newsletter called Brain Food, straight to your email.